I never really believe it, though. That's the problem. I could be live. I might be live. I could possibly be live. I'm going to say I'm more than likely live. However, until people show up, I'm not positive on that. With a cat asking me, no, I'm not sure. I feel very much like Schrodinger's cat at the moment. Am I live? Am I not alive? I don't know. Okay, well, I got a mod that says I'm alive. Charles is here as well, so I'm gonna say that yes. Oh, welcome in everyone. As people slowly trickle in. Hello, hello, hello. It is halfway through the month of June. Wow. So nearly halfway through the year. Oh, it's been a year so far. It feels like it's been 3 in the not quite full 6 months that we've had in 25. So, par for the course of this decade. We had the roaring 20s in the 1900s, and we have the oh my god, what the fuck is happening 20s for this decade. So that seems fair. It is also Dad Day, so for all of the fathers out there, happy Dad Day. For all of you who did not have the fathers who were supposed to be there for you, it's okay to not celebrate today. I say the same thing on Mother's Day. For those of you who had mothers, good. For those of you who had egg donors who were not applicable as mothers, then, it's perfectly acceptable to ignore the day. Because that is just the way things are. '25 feels like it has taken years. I understand Alabarios. Yeah, we'll say Alabarios. That's the best I'm gonna get. I probably shouldn't shorten that down to Allah for reasons. So, is that a new shirt? No, it's the same Heavenly Chaos shirt that I've had. So, uh, we will get started in on questions here shortly, guys. I'm just giving people a minute or two to trickle in before we really kick off. Hey, McKnight, nice to see you make it back. I hope your headache is a dull roar today. All right, guys. So following in, of course, we just published Heavenly Chaos 3 at the beginning of the month. Had a bit of concern the first day it was released. I had a lot of 1-star reviews come in really quickly. So could be people who speed read like no tomorrow who were really dissatisfied with the book. Could have been a review bombs by somebody who just really doesn't like me. Could go either way. Things have since started to settle back out the way they should for the reviews for most of my series, so I appreciate that. Just a quick look at numbers from release to now. Things look like Heavenly Chaos numbers. Very solid, right in line with what I would expect. Probably hit the numbers that I would expect by the end of the month. Nothing wrong with the series, as much as some people did not like the trauma storylines that were in book 3. I understand if they were difficult or you didn't like them, but that was always part of the story from the start. So, will it settle out as the series goes on? Yes, of course. But there was always going to be a moment, especially when you have a relationship starting up, that certain things were going to have to be addressed and readdressed, because when you have trauma, it's not one and done. So, but all in all, I'd say there was a lot of good acceptance for the book. I appreciate that. We of course then have Antecedents Legacy 5. I'm fairly certain. Assembly's Folly coming up in August. And then we'll roll into Aether's 11, which I'm not revealing title on yet, and then Heavenly Chaos 4, which will follow that for December. At the moment, it feels like, yes, I'm going to be okay with the 3-book rotation. I'll really know by the end of the year, but we'll see how things stand at that point. Of course, for those people who are waiting, waiting for Aether's 10 audio to be released, it was released. Feel free to go out and get it, listen to it, enjoy all the lovely voices by Andy. Lux Voice 9 is still out with the audio editor. Hopefully, things on that will be wrapping up sometime this month, and then maybe we can see about getting that book out in July. I would hope. Antecedents Legacy 4 is with Podium. I think it's on Andy's schedule for later this month to get recorded, but I can't say that for certain. And then after that, it still goes through their process. I don't have any information from them on a pre-order or anything yet. So you are as up to date on that information as I have for you. Other big news, though, next month, July 17th, July 18th, 19th, and 20th is Lit RPG Con in Denver. For those people who are attending, I will be there. I am planning to have things to give away. Mostly non-books, but I do have like 100-odd copies of Heavenly Chaos 1, which were a special print. I cannot sell them. They do not have USB codes. So they will be given away to the people who want them. And yes, I will sign them for the people who want them signed. So if you were on the fence about coming and that sways you, you can consider that enticement, I guess. If you were already coming, then it's just something for you to look forward to. And then of course I will have Dragon Con at the end of August, beginning of September, which I have no information on anything going on there yet. And we won't probably for shoot. I need to close that. There we go. And probably won't until like a week before the con because that's just the way it works. So that kind of equates everyone back up. The only other thing I could say is the Author Nation Con in November in Vegas. I'm still waiting to hear back about possibly getting a table for their fan interaction day, but I haven't heard anything from them yet. I'll be tapping them again in the next couple weeks to just be like, what's going on, guys? Would still like to have a table there for those people who are going to attend that, but I got nothing otherwise. So that clears that up. So I hope you guys have been busy with questions and comments, so we have things to talk about. Because as everyone who's been here before knows, I can only go as long as people have helped me continue rambling. So I hope those questions and comments have been rolling in smoothly during my little pre-chat thing recap of whatever. Yeah, speaking words are not my forte. Speaking words are definitely not my forte. I've had people ask me if I'd ever consider dictating a book instead of typing a book, and the answer to that is no. That's a bad idea. So let's not do that. So let's see what we got. Really enjoyed the last Heavenly Chaos novel. Was really glad to see if my theories on Bloodlines were correct. Sucks I have to wait for the next one. Now there is a bit of information given to the Bloodline in that book. If you think, however, that you know the Bloodline because of that book, well, We'll see. See. Batman or Superman, who would win in a fight? It's going to come down to a couple of things. Which version of each of them first? Is either of them opposed to killing the other one? Two, has Batman been able to get his hands on things like kryptonite? These are the important matters. If Batman can cover his bases, then he actually has a decent chance. Because Superman does have a glaring, obvious flaw, which is covered on and on and on in the different flavors and types of kryptonite that are out there. That he has actually has a chance. However, if Superman used all of his abilities and actually wanted to eradicate Batman, I don't think it would matter much. Superman, for the most part, is shackled by the creators with being a caring, empathetic individual for the most part, and not a murderous bastard. If he was a murderous bastard, very few people would ever have even a remote chance of surviving. So, have you ever thought about making merchandise like Lux voice trading cards? I mean, have I given thought to it? Yes, I've had passing thoughts to such things. The problem with that idea is it takes time and effort into doing them, and then it has to have enough of a base to make the effort of the time and everything else and the costs worth the payback on it. So, as with most things, it is doubtful to ever see fruition. And as one of my moderators says, if you do enjoy the series, please leave reviews. Um, I'm sure that was specifically because when I was talking about Heavenly Chaos 3, but honestly, that's for any book you ever read by anyone, whether they be indie or trad. Leaving a review always helps, whether that's an early review or even a late review. As long as there are reviews on a book, it gains momentum, especially when the book first releases, especially if you're dealing with a negative review campaign that is coming out at the same time. Having those early 5 stars roll in to help even the playing field was the only thing that kept me from going completely insane. I thank you for that, Xerox. Andy will of course knock it out of the park with audio like she always does. L4 is tentatively scheduled to begin recording at the end of the month. Yeah, but always subject to change, as our archivist works with both me and Andy. She has a little bit more information than I do because she helps with the documents, I believe, for helping schedule out. Okay, you should probably look at so many chapters today. Trying to get through 20 chapters is a bit much. You will kill yourself. Don't do that. I was listening to the latest Aethers books and I got to around chapter 47. Ah, yes. Yep. That's when the excrement hits the rotating device. I'd just say there wasn't uh, much like story progression in HC8 Heavenly Chaos 3. I mean, this is where once again I will disagree with people. I will disagree on story advancement. Um, my stories are always the life of the main character, and there was a lot going on in his life in that entire book. Was there like a huge overarching, like they graduated, left the world, went on to conquer, got to rank 10? No. Was there a lot of movement on what his history is? No. Still a lot of story in there. But that is once again that is how I see things versus how you see things, and it's perfectly fine to have a different viewpoint on that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have indeed seen the announcements for Spaceball 2's, including one with Mel Brooks involved, giving the announcement. Um, it's been a while, been a bit, like most of my life, been a bit. Um, I will be tentatively optimistic. Like I didn't care for the adaptation for History of the World Part Two. That just it the little snippets and how they were pieced together never really hit for me. So I will be tentatively optimistic if they do push out a Spaceballs 2 in 27, which I believe is what they're saying currently. But if that is the case, that will be a movie I would actually go into Vegas to see in a theater, which is those are so rare for me. It has to be something I really want to see to make me drive an hour plus to sit in a theater for a couple of hours to drive an hour plus home. So that could be an interesting one. I have a KU payment question. I have KU now, and I read Heavenly Chaos 3 on it. How long do I have to wait to buy it for you to get a double payment? Is it 30 days? No, it's the end of as long as you return it before the end of this month. So by the 30th, return it on the 30th at the latest. And then you can buy it July 1st, and it would count. I would get the KU pages read in June. I would get the purchase in July. Now, this is all speculation on many authors' parts because Amazon is as clear as a black hole. We have no idea what goes on inside of it. We can only infer off the numbers that they give us, that they assure us are accurate. So as far as we're aware, that's right. But it's Amazon. So we're all kind of stuck there. Is there a new series starting anytime soon? At the moment, Dragon, no. Aethers has still a lot to go. Heavenly Chaos has a lot to go. Antecedents still has quite a bit to go, but it's the closest of those three to being finished. At the moment, I am going to stick with a 3-series rotation. So, no, there shouldn't be anything new starting for probably a couple of years, I would say. I would say 2 years or more. Now that is dependent on antecedents, but like I said, that is the closest to finishing. I wouldn't see that finishing before book 8, though, at the earliest. I would say book 8 would be the earliest I could see antecedents finishing, just from the general idea of what I know should happen between the end of book 5, because that's with my editors. I already know where that ends. Where book 5 ends and where the series should wrap up, that should be minimum of 3 books. Even if like book 5 tanks off the cliff, it would be unlikely for me to end the series short of where I want to. Let's go with worst case scenario. Let's say book 5 tanks abysmally. It's just horrible. Nobody likes it. I'm looking at Resurrection Quest numbers. Just what the hell just happened there? Book 5 would actually be I could soft close book 5. That's not what I want, though. That doesn't finish the story I set out for. I would probably have at least a book 6, probably a book 6 and 7. So absolute worst case scenario, I'd say there'd be at least 7 books in antecedents. So it'd be at least another year before I started something new. But honestly, with the way I normally go, I'm saying 8 books. It'd probably end up being 9 because I've almost never finished a series when I think I do. But we will see. But no, I would say a year plus before another series starts. That coming down to the end of the year, by the time I've had most of this year with a 3-book rotation, if for whatever reason I feel like, yes, I really do need that fourth just for my brain to feel good about how I'm hitting each series, then yes, I would think about adding a fourth series in and going back to what I had been doing before. But again, that would be sometime next year at the earliest. So, a very long way to answer that question. Very, very long way to answer that question. That is true, Gen. It does mean longer wait times between each consecutive book of any given series. Instead of getting the next book of a series every 6 months, it would be back to every 8 months. So, have you thought about setting pre-orders on your Kindle books further out? I mean, yes. I could. I could easily set up a dummy file for, let's see, I have AL5 coming out at the start of August. I could set it up so when that launches, I had a dummy placeholder for Antecedents Legacy 6 in place. So when you got to the end of 5, you could roll into the pre-order of 6, like many other authors do. I don't feel comfortable doing that until I have a finished book in my hand. I don't like pre-orders until I know that I can give you what I'm telling you I can give you. So yes, it is possible. It is unlikely with me. I would listen to a very small subset of people who could convince me to do otherwise. So, oh, that's a long one. Okay, I know Heavenly Chaos 3 had mixed reviews. Like you said, Trauma's not one and done, so thank you for sticking to your guns on the story. With that being said, are you still feeling good with Heavenly Chaos being a strong storyline, meaning many more books? Yeah, CB, like I said, I have I have no intention of ending the series short, and even with the mixed reviews that came out in that first day or two, because it was a lot early. And some of the people who've posted on Facebook and such since then who said they didn't care for the amount of trauma in it, the series still looks very healthy. So no, I don't I don't plan on ending it short. There's still a lot to go. With what should be happening going through books 4, 5, and on, I think a lot of the people who had a harder time getting through 3 will be fine going forward. Trauma doesn't magically disappear, but there should be less frequent triggers going forward. So, it's unlikely that we will ever see a BattleTech uh, game night like that again. So, I am sorry to disappoint Outlaw. Of course, I'm being my normal KG self on possible spoilers. It's what I do. Even when it's me trying to dance around things like a madman because people didn't ask the question, but I'm like, well, oh, good gods. It's not offensive, controversial, but you've had your criticism that you're not really lit RPG because your stats and powers are limited and don't take over the story. I personally love your books. I mean, I I honestly haven't heard that criticism, um, and that's fine. I am probably more game lit than lit RPG in many of my series. That's fine. It depends on where each of those individuals is coming down on what qualifies, because that's what's going on there. Is well, it has numbers and it has stats and powers. That's lit RPG as far as I knew. It had clear, decisive numbers. That was last I knew that was lit RPG. So that's going to depend on where each of those individuals wants to gatekeep the term, and I'm perfectly fine where I am. So if somebody wants to nitpick and say that I am not lit RPG, there are some of my series that have not been technically lit RPG. Binding Words, technically, no stats. The powers and magics were much more fluid. So yeah, you can say that Binding Words was not lit RPG. You could make a case that it wasn't even game lit. Still a really good series. Was it adjacent? Yes. So, meh. People are people. If you could ever license one of your series as a video game, honestly, probably Apocalypse Gates. From a sheer standpoint of how it would transfer over, it had one of the most game-like, especially with all the dev fixes, um, elements to it that would make it simple. If you wanted something much simpler, um, Last Horizons would be easier to do, and parts of Alpha World would be easy to do. So it all depends. Me personally, I'd be happy to talk to anyone in a professional capacity. Would I ever push to make something a game? No, that's time and effort I don't have. Why is it a bad idea to iron your four-leaf clover? Because you shouldn't press your luck. Ah, there's enough starch in that joke to be a potato. And yes, my beard has been seen by a professional and has had dead ends and stuff removed off of it because apparently most of my beard was unhealthy. So I have a healthy set of facial hair now, I've been told. So if you go to a professional, listen to them. They're a professional. They should know what they're talking about. Unless it's the doctor, in which case, remember, medical professionals are always practicing medicine. Just saying. Just saying. I've had I've had enough interactions with doctors who do not listen to remind them that they are only practicing medicine. They have not perfected it. That's true. The beard was too sexy. There was a question of whether or not women would just start flying at me, drawn by the gravitational pull of the beard. The new book rotation is making it easy to plan when to reread the series. Fair enough, Breg. Fair enough. I think there was a depth of understanding developed in Heavenly Chaos 3. There was personal growth that gives the book's life. I mean, I would agree. Other people, not so much, which I am fine with a difference of opinion, guys. So, most of the conversations on Discord and on Facebook have been polite, civil discussions. And I appreciate that. Because the first rule of every social media page I'm a part of is no fucking drama. So, polite, civil conversations. I have had to delete a few comments here or there where somebody was a bit too pointed on either side of the debate on what responses were. But for the most part, very civil, which is all I want. Civil discussion. It's not that much to ask, which is once again, don't be a dick. If you're a dick, you cause drama. It's just the way it is, Brian. I am for those people who are wondering, since Antecedents is with my editors, obviously, I am currently writing Aether's 11. I do have a title in mind. I have artwork progressing towards that title. Excuse me. I am not yet ready to release said title. So, if when I do have that title out in the open, it should give you an idea of book of book. There is a lot. I can't say that. I can't say that. Cannot say that. I hate to burst your bubble, Destra. It will not. There is a definitive end to Aethers. There is a definitive end. I will say there is the ending that most people expect, and then there's the bits that people probably won't expect. And that makes me happy. I caught the live. You have indeed, Nikki. You have. I'm never sure if it's Nikki or Xander, since it's two names. I'm not sure when this comes up if I should be addressing Nikki or Xander. It's not my place to know. But I default then to the first name I see, which is Nikki. So if it is Xander, I apologize. And if it gets mentioned and I see it, I will do my best to remember that. It is not guaranteed. I have a spreadsheet of names for every series I write for a reason. Oh, well, there you go then. I was right. I was right without knowing that I was right. I am really good. Or Nick. Okay. The Nikki could go either way. I guess with the Y, I say even with the Y, honestly, now that I think about it. Hmm. Well, Nick, I hope that you, like you said, you loved Heavenly Chaos 3. You can't wait for the next one. I appreciate that. Um, I hope you keep my books away from your son until he is old enough to read them. Yeah, as I've told many people, keep my books away from those people who are well underage. Just shouldn't do it. Even like Heavenly Chaos 3 and or sorry, Heavenly Chaos and Resurrection Quest. Even Dungeon Walkers. 3 series, no sex. I still wouldn't give them to anybody short of like later mid-teens. I would keep my series away from anyone outside of like 15 and up. And 15, that's going to be a you decision case. So no, I would not read Apocalypse Gates to a 3-year-old every night before bed. Even if you're skipping bits, I would probably still not do that myself. I don't have kids. I'm not going to tell you how to raise your kids, but probably shouldn't. I am firmly in the no kids camp. I have 2 sisters. They both have kids. Mm, God bless it. I just paper cut myself on my calendar. The problems with being an Italian is you speak with your hands. That might be a bad place for my calendar. Hang on. It's right. It's right here. It's right next to me. Mm. I just saw both my sisters for lunch the other day, and we were reminiscing about the fact that I don't have kids and they do, and the different things going on with their kids and what it was like to raise their kids, and yeah, they love their children like most parents are supposed to. Not all parents do, sadly, but like they're supposed to. Even when the child is frustrating and you want to slap them right upside the back of the head, you're still supposed to love them. And we know that's not the case for everyone. Not me personally. Both my parents are lovely people. They raised me right. Well, I mean, outside of giving me 2 sisters, they raised me right. But I've had plenty of friends and relationships who did not have caring, loving families in that regard. So, eh, eh. AL will end soonest because Badger hasn't got patience to fuck around and get shit done. Um, Not because of that. It was always going to be from the way the story was meant to progress. The general these are the things that should be happening going forward. But it was always designed to be a shorter series. Can I uncover that now? Are you done bleeding? Thank you. I have to clean you out and take care of you later. I got to be careful of calendars. Apparently, it's my new fear now is going to be calendars being too close. Stupid calendar. If AL5 is already with the editors, I take it you already started writing AR11, which I just mentioned. Looks like you managed to get back to a bit of breathing room compared to the end of last year. A little bit. I would like to be have a little more breathing room still. I would like to have a book done in advance. So I would like when I publish Heavenly Chaos 3 to already have AL5 locked down, done, finished, and have AR with the editors. So we're nearly where I would feel most comfortable. That gives me the breathing room for like if I want to take a vacation for a week or if I get sick with something. I don't feel the crunch in my own head because I am plenty ahead, really. It's a matter of how my brain processes things. Man, that really hurt. Guys, I will be right back. I am sorry, but I am going to go clean this and put a band-aid on it because it's going to bother me. So, talks amongst yourselves. Oh, jeez. So let this be a lesson. Time can hurt you in unexpected ways. 2025 is almost half over and is still hurting me. It's amazing. If you were to write another series, is there a thought of type of setting? Oh, I got lots of types of settings to write, Brian. I had a dystopian future type setting. I had a different like Magic Academy type setting. I got a urban fantasy type setting. I mean, I'm not short on ideas. That's for fucking sure. I'm short on time. Yeah, stay over there. Sorry, just want to make sure my calendar didn't get any more ideas. Is there any plans on getting any more artwork for Patreon? Um, the people I've used before are all incredibly busy. One of them doesn't do art at all anymore. Um, so that would require me going out and finding other artists. Doing that takes me away from writing or the little bit of downtime that I do have for, myself. Um, so I am not actively searching cop, just not doing it. Um, if somebody whose artwork I like comes along and somebody brings them to me and someone I trust, let me clarify that, someone I trust brings them to me and says, hey, this person could, is going to be all right and they do good stuff and I like it, then I would consider it. But it's not top of my list right now. Daniel says 3-book rotation is good, and I'll stick with it. And Daniel said 3 new book ideas show up with heavy metal bands. Outlaw. That's most of the times. I always have ideas that want to be written. Very few of them get to the point where I absolutely have to write them right away and can't just be like, okay, I'll get to that. So very few are antecedents in Heavenly Chaos. Plot and characters why I read the books. DJ's really good at making complete worlds and great characters. I appreciate that, Brig. Thank you. Was anything at all constructive criticism in the 1-star reviews, or what we kind of seen on other series? Not enough action, too much SOL. No, that's it. Pretty much. This, what most of them were basically, this read like a journal. They got up and had breakfast every day, then did stuff, and then talked about their feelings. And I was just like, okay. So it's the same writing style I've had since basically the beginning of time. Cool. You don't like my writing style. That's fine. You probably shouldn't be reading my books then. If that is something that consistently bothers you across multiple of my series, then I'm going to say my writing style isn't for you. Just a thought. I have some people who started with like Apocalypse Gates. They loved Apocalypse Gates. Really loved Apocalypse Gates. They haven't been as happy with everything since. And I just went, that's fair. You, if you don't like it, if you don't like what I'm currently doing, that's fine. Your books are therapy, so I don't mind the trauma. Well, I appreciate that they're therapy in a way for you. But I did have a number of people who mentioned that they are also in therapy, and that the books were a little too pointed. They wanted to get away from their own trauma, and I went, that's perfectly valid. Perfectly valid. I understand. Drop a horny mountain on me. Yeah, well, you are indeed one of the original gatekeepers, so can't argue that point if they know who you are. I mean, I would at least hope for an R rating on that game, if not an NC-17 rating on that game. There should still be plenty of booba and butt on screen, and at the very least, so it would at least need the adult tag for that. Which I'm not sure what that comes down. M for mature, I believe, because game rating is different. As if I'm ever gonna say. Not even gonna read that question out loud. I know you wanted the glare, but you're not gonna get it. You're gonna get patented indifference instead. Now you get disappointment, sir. Congratulations. What were you thinking for the pilot rescue system in AL? Was it like an escape pod, or more like the foam balls from live action Speed Racer? I think that's touched on more in 5, so I'm gonna pass that right now. So I mean, the devs tweaking the system was always a major part of the storyline. It was intended to be, which is why when people complained about the fact that the system kept changing, I found it amusing. I always found that complaint to that series amusing myself, but whatever. But we wanted to see the full Viking plated beer. Well, now that this is healthy, maybe I can get it to grow healthy, and if it grows healthy, it might be able to get to that point. But if it's all dead, then it's just going to split and frizz and frazz, and it's not going to do anything at all, except look like a giant bush. Fun fact, we had the atomic bomb before we discovered CPR. I mean, that doesn't surprise me. Look out for Ark. He might be looking to play with the beard. He doesn't have to look to play with the beard. I know who that is. That's one of my moderators. Have you ever heard of the Church of Fuckery? I ask, as one of its commandments is don't spew bad fuckery. I had not, Breg. That is a new one to me. So I am not a formal religious individual. So you can call me spiritual. You couldn't call me religious. I'm guessing the end of AR ends in violence. I mean, that would be a good bet, considering. No, I don't do that though, Dressed. I mean, if I was going to do that, I would go back and revisit some of the other characters that people loved. No, I write a story for a main character. Now, if for whatever reason, any like Sean came to me and said, "Hey, this is what happened on this on after Binding Words," I would write it. But it's not something I ever set out to do. It's not something I am attempting to do. So, ah, it makes you think that at that point, people will address him by his name and not as a title. So, was Aether's name, or was it the title that he was placed with, that he basically had? It's it's food for thought. Your books are way more tame compared to most books in the genre. If you're talking about harem, yes, because I write relationship books. I don't write fap fodder. Harem is very broad in the fact that you go from my character based heavy relationship to, hey, this is the lady of the week and I banged her 6 times, and now on to the next book, which is a new lady and I banged her 6 times, and then on to the next book, which, so I mean, it's a broad spectrum. I am fine with the way I write. I know that is not enough sexy time for some, and that's okay. If you just want sexy time, God knows harem is littered with it. Did you need to take Badger to the shed for the number of women in his life? No, I know exactly how many women he was going to end up with in his life. Kind of like Greg. After Jen added in at the end of book 1, I was like, okay, hang on. Where is this going? Where is this going? I need an idea, sir. I think that it was AR9 that was hinted on the Naginata of the Academy as potentially Aether's blade. Well, it's highly likely it is. Are we looking at a fight with Master Damon to get the blade? I mean, we haven't written it yet. Ned Deep. Actually, it was hinted all the way back in book 1 that was Aether's blade, because that's what it was referred to back then. Um, so it's gonna be one of those things. We don't know. We don't know how long it's gonna take before that moment comes. That might be Grandmaster Damon at that point, or Elder Damon at that point. We don't know. Or he dies as Master Damon because he never advanced far enough. Unlikely, Destra. Unlikely. I've had a lot of people who've suggested or asked for such a thing. It is not something I am setting out to do. So, that the second or third time you've injured. I don't know, guys. I have done live chats on multiple platforms for at least 5 years, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it's longer than 5 years. I don't know how many times I've injured myself on a live chat. A few. Blood for the calendar gods. I would like to say that Father Time gets enough blood and death that he doesn't need my tithe. Just, saying. I mean, Dringus, I would seriously question the individual that sent the child to me with that book. If it's a toddler, I know they're not reading it. So at that point, it's a stunt. A 10-year-old comes up to me and goes, I really loved this book. I have questions about parenting at that point. Not my place. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I am going to question and judge the fuck out of you. I just won't do it to your face. Like I said, no children. Not my place to tell you how to raise yours. I hold that line across many other subjects. So it's not something I have. Not my place to say what should be done with it. I know you find the lives hard. Do you think trying to summon a Daemon with a calendar would stop the live? No. Honestly, I think they just eat popcorn in the corner and watch me melt down. Depending on the kind of demon you get. True. I mean, I did prove that when I got up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten up, or I at least would have turned the camera off. Wonder if Badger would pull a donkey and hook up with a dragon. Well, considering the only dragon we've seen so far is male, I'm gonna say it's unlikely. Badger has stated he doesn't swing that way. So I've been meaning to ask, in Binding Words, you said the character of James is basically you. You said that James is a brat tamer. How are you a brat tamer when you get hit with a pool noodle of shame and shot with a Daniel Be Good Nerf gun? Maybe you don't understand brats. I'm thinking outlaw. That you don't fully understand a brat. And the compulsive need of the brat. So I went to a wedding yesterday and somehow have managed to get a couple of little paper cuts on my fingers. I have no idea how that happened. The blood gods must be thirsty. I mean, if you went to a wedding, there is more than likely blood being spilled somewhere. Just, gonna leave that there. Show me on the doll where the calendar touched you. It's right there. Right on my pinky. I'm just glad it's my pinky and it's not my fucking the first few fingers, because the only thing this is gonna affect, honestly, is QAZ. That's it. And I'm fine with that. I'm gonna have a lot of missing A's though. My editors are not gonna be happy. The voices have to be really loud to get me to sit down and be like, this is the next story. I mean, favorite part about most of your work is the pacing, outside of perhaps Apocalypse Gates, where shit just escalated like crazy but the pacing always felt good to me. I like calmness. I don't want frying pan to fire to volcano to sun. I don't. That's most series ever. I want time to see who the character is when he's not in a panic, when he has time to just sit around with his friends, have dinner, talk about things. That's it. I've been wondering this for a while now. Which of your characters has the best beard? I have a lot of dwarves in my books. A lot of dwarves, sir. I'm going to say it's one of them. If you're talking about main characters, I'm going to kick all the way back to Last Horizon. Doomin and Shieldbreaker was the avatar inside the game. Dwarf, really good dwarven beard. There you go. That's it. That one's not hard. That one's not hard. That was the full dwarf character. So that's easy. And if anybody ever writes a full-blooded elf with a beard, I'm going to ask a lot of questions. A lot of questions. Again, I am so happy with all the stories you have written. I can't wait for the extended version. Extended verse? Oh, the continued series, the continuation of the series. Okay. Whoo, I got very confused for a second. Paul, I'm looking at that question. I'm just nothing wrong. Somebody wants a nice big bush on their face. Hey, no problems. It happens. Sometimes you end up with a big bush between your legs, or in this case, something probably a little neater and sleeker nowadays. Full bloodline question, guy. If you don't get that question answered, the next two books, ask again. You'll probably get the exact same answer in two books. just for everyone who thinks that is going to be fully answered in the short term is probably also thinking that what is going on with Benedict's history is probably going to be answered in the short term too. Yeah, but when it's dead frizzy hair, then it just itches and it's uncomfortable, and nobody wants itchy uncomfortableness. Jazz. They want sleek, neat, where it feels nice and plush. I will say your books helped me realize I needed help. To be honest, made me work through things I didn't know I needed to work on. No problem, Cass. I am uh, flattered and glad to know that my books have had a positive impact on somebody. The trauma makes my sense of justice rise. It makes the paladin tendencies act up. Makes me want to smite. And there's nothing wrong with that, Rocket. You're most 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 good people should have that reaction, depending on the history and trauma induced and why. I mean, you could make a case. I'm not reading this question right away. You could make a case that Skippy is very traumatized right now. Somewhere there's a Skippy who knows, and they are very traumatized. The constant rule changes in AG were the reason I didn't read it much until it was done, but then I went through and read it straight through because I loved everything else. I just figured I hadn't given it a fair shot. And that's fine, Tant. They were always meant to be there. When you have a group of scientists working on something and they're like, this would work, we need to like test this out. We'll just mock up this like game type simulation, and they have no idea what they're doing. You get AG. to give my 2 cents for Heavenly Chaos, just finished books 1 through 3 this month. I like it a lot more than others. I really like that it's not 5+++ love interest. If I had to nitpick anything, it's a bit melee heavy. There are reasons for that, Mundus. And there is how to state. I have not mentioned outside of magic why there isn't a lot of ranged, which is something I could have as an aside in one of the next couple of books. But there are reasons for it. And it should be fairly there are reasons you should be able to extrapolate, but I could make it a little more obvious for those people who wonder why. Not saying I will, but it is something I could look at doing, yes. I have a few suspicions about how the Emperor and AR became powerful and maintains his power, but my guess might touch on spoilers. I'm waiting to see what happens if Wayne Greg meets the reincarnated Mortum to discover if I am right. That's MV. That is you have the right idea of waiting and seeing. So will we be blah, 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 blah. Guys, words are hard. Take it from me. I use them every day. There's a reason why I don't publicly speak often, though. Words are hard. Will we be seeing Nick return in AR-11 since the fire they used in 10 was something that the Eternal Flame uses? It was not the same. One is magic, and their interesting little brand of magic that is known to the head family of the Eternal Flame, and has some of it has been spread down to, like, favorites, versus what happened at the end of book 10, which was not magic. So that's all I can say. That's all I can say on that right now. DJ doesn't want another Sean from Binding Words and all of his wives. Honestly, Badger is probably the one who is going to have the largest. Badger and Gregory are going to be probably nearish each other. Ben is with the 2 women he's with. That's it. That's the trio. No, that's it. Done. Those 2, though, do have a larger grouping. Daniel is not a plotter until it comes to his characters' wives. It's not plotting at that point. I just have a polite conversation with my main characters about where they think the appropriate number of wives is at. That's all. It's not plotting. And I have said before, I am an after action reporter. Yes. However, when I start a series, I always have a rough general outline of the series. This is the start, this is the end. These are some things in the middle that should happen. And then I listen to my characters. I just make sure that I include in that rough outline that this is the maximum number of wives that should ever be had. I blame Sean for that. I keep picturing Greg getting hold of Aether's blade and every gem on it lights up at once. I mean, there's that blade has been used for people to detect which magic they resonate with. So I guess it would depend on where Gregory is with his learning magic from people at that point, wouldn't it? That's why I love rereading DJ's books, because there are hidden gems that you don't see until the context of later books. Some of them are, some of them I planned. Some of them I did plan. I want this phrasing to be this way. It's important. And then some of them are not planned. Those are the ones that make me laugh. Huh, I didn't realize I had done that. Weird. Oh, it's gonna be fun. The end of some of the stuff that will eventually come up in AR is it's gonna be fun to write. Gonna be fun. Can't wait for next month's live chat because it'll be my birthday when the next one is. Well, Cass, we will look forward to wishing you a happy day of birth remembrance, as I like to normally tell my friends and family instead of happy birthday, happy day of birth remembrance. We're remembering the day of your birth. I will judge people to their face. I'm a cat. Get used to it. I mean, and that is the right of cats everywhere. Normally, it's unreasonable judgment from a cat, but they're a cat. What do you expect? I'm gonna just bypass that pending argument. Hey, yeah, how you doing, man? Glad you can make it in. I was thinking about my keyboard and how that's weird until I remembered where the Z is on the English keyboards. Yeah, if you have a different layout of a keyboard because English is not your first language, and you have other characters on said keyboard, and it would be laid out differently, I would see that. Yeah, fair enough, TJ. Respect the after action writer that is Daniel Shinoven. Too tall, I appreciate that, man. The problem with an injury like a paper cut or a small fast healing injury wound like that is you forget about it and you have counters, walls, and corners jumping out to touch the injury. It's on my pinky, guys, and like later today when I go to decompress, I'm going to want a controller in this hand. It's right here, which is gripping of a controller for me. So I'll have to play with like my pinky extended, which is going to slowly cramp my hand. I'm certain of it. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. After this, actually, it will be time for gaming with my friends because it's Sunday. So yeah, I don't get to just go face plant after this. I have a social obligation with my friends here in town, like Sean. So I'm so gonna be just brain dead. Just so gonna be brain dead by the time that comes around. Just wanted to stop by and say thank you to my favorite writer, Dimewing. I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping in. If you do catch these and you give me some questions and comments to talk about, you can get added to the chance to be a winner and get one of the challenge coins. Just throw that out there. I guess I haven't said that. I didn't say that earlier. Most people here know that though. I guess I should mention that maybe at like the start of the videos though, maybe for people who catch them later and they go, "Ooh, hey, I should try to catch that then." Nah, it'll be fine. If you do an elf with a beard of like with a stereotypical Asian martial arts type straight white beard, I mean, I don't want to touch that. That that's just fraught. Fraught, I say. I was secretly hoping that Benedict's bloodline would be a Hydra of some sort. I mean, you have the information we have so far, but you don't have all the information. So there's that. I know there's not been explicit scenes in Heavenly Cow so far as that a possibility of changing the words are hard. Happily, it's going to stay fade to black. It is. I set out with that intention when I wrote it. It's going to stay that way. I think as quote unquote descriptive as book 3 gets, for those people who are waiting for audio, I understand I am trying to be vague. It will not get more descriptive than that. That is my plan. I say it that way for a reason. That's up to her to answer, so I'm just gonna bypass that. The next Heavenly Chaos book can't be more than the next competition that they just managed. Mundus, you need to go back and read 2 again. Just saying. Would be funny if it was the same Skippy and he just kept being reborn in every one of your book universes after he died in the previous one. I mean, that's what people wanted from the end of from Alpha World. They wanted Skippy to die 1,000 times. I don't know if I'll ever reach 1,000 times. I'm fairly certain I'm not going to reach 100 times, but Skippies die. Do you know Blaze Corbin personally? I have talked to Blaze a few times. I don't live anywhere near him, and we have not talked in some time. So I cannot answer that question. I love having the chaos. Can't wait till the families try to stick their noses into the life. I mean, it's probably going to happen at some point. So many comments, none of them polite. I don't want to mention that because that feels like it pulls down another writer, which I'm not really happy with. Yes, yes, it did, Rocket. Which is why we are endeavoring to never have a Sean again. Really, Destra? Really? Rereads are always fun, always finding something new. Still not sure how I was like on the third read of Alpha World before Sergeant Granite and his cooking dawned on me. You couldn't smell what he was cooking, obviously. I mean, we'll find out, Credence. To expand on the subject, then, something like going Magus posting in Kroga would be planned, but small things like fighting champion Axelson during the walk to the wedding is what Greg tells you, basically. Not sure how to answer that. A little yes, a little no. Yeah, a little yes, a little no. It's really hard for me to pin that down, guys. Um, I'm a Neanderthal. I use Microsoft Word, and it is really hard to buy just Word by itself. God, they make you jump through hoops to find Word by itself. They keep wanting they want everyone to buy into their 365 program that you have to keep paying for every year. Instead of I bought Word, leave me the fuck alone. But I use Word. It's reliable and I know how to use it. That's all I need. Do you plan to have a Skippy die in every book? Every book? No. Good gods, no. Every series? Yes, every series should have a Skippy. From Alpha World on, I have been endeavoring for a Skippy. The only one where that does not happen from Alpha World going forward was Resurrection Quest, and that's because Resurrection Quest only had the one book. Yes, Lit RPG. I have considered it. I have people who've told me that I should sell the coins. I will continue to give them away instead. They they are there for the people who really want them to win them. I give away 5 every month, and there are 2 times a year I give away 30. So let's see. 5 times 12 is 60. And 60. I give away at least 120 coins a year. For the fans who really want them, there are plenty of chances to win them. You just need to be able to participate. And like since I hold live chats during different times every month, and the 2 giveaways are on Facebook and on Discord twice a year, there's ample opportunity for the people who really want them. And it doesn't cost you anything because you don't have to pay for shipping. I take that back. There might be a cost if when I ship it overseas, for whatever reason, your customs office goes, no, you have to pay for this. But I do not charge you. I pay for the shipping. I paid for the coins. I paid for the shipping. The only thing you might be liable for if you live overseas is customs. I can't do anything about that one. But yes, I have had people tell me I should sell them, and I don't want to. Is what it comes down to. Once again, there is a very small subset of people. If they came to me and had a real conversation about the hows and whys, I would listen to them. But at the moment, nah. I mean, MV. If you're gonna say it that way, the younger trio has also been mostly absent, which was always going to happen with AR. The entire family was never going to be together all that often. I was honestly surprised with as many of them that went to Kroga together. Once again, after Action Reporter, that happened. So, yeah. Mm. But the AR's large family was never destined to be all together until later in the series. So, I understand that it's going to be oh god, I don't even remember who this is, but that's just it's gonna happen sometimes. Honestly, I prefer fade to black scenes when the story gets spicy. There's only so many ways to describe the act, and I've read too many in my life to enjoy more of them, especially when they break up the plot flow. Fair enough. Which is why I always try to make sure. Well, now wasn't that way before. Now I always try to make sure those scenes are in their own chapters, and there's always some lead up, so you understand that. Oh, I'm fairly certain I know where this is going, so you can skip that chapter if you so wish. So, yep, fair enough, Too Tall. I understand. I try to keep spoilers down to a minimum. Necromantic MC that keeps raising Skippy as a training dummy. I mean, that would be kind of funny, honestly. I don't really have a favorite Skippy death, Brian. I think they all have their own time and place. Ooh, look at that! I've almost caught up to all of you guys. Ah, the end is nigh. I see the end. How are your games with Andy going? Good. We've had another run of Baldur's Gate that's been on um hiatus for a couple of weeks. We went back to Mario Party for a little while, just because that's mindless. So when one of us is having a really tough day, It's just easier to play Mario Party because then we don't have to think. It's very simple. You click the button to roll the die, you move, you try to buy the stars. So no, he doesn't, Brian. No, I'm sorry, Big. Gothy and Hero have had their moment more than likely. I'm amused that Binding Words has been mentioned so much today, as I'm currently in the process of regis- registering to the series. Um, I mean that's fair, cop. It is at this point a couple of years old. So if you are just getting it to yourself, I don't think we hit anything too breaking for it. If you had a Skippy death in every book, you'd be over 60 deaths. True, Holly. True. But at this point, it's per series, so it's a much lower number. I keep winning. I keep hoping to win a coin. Got lucky. Won one so far. Picked Alpha World. It's packed somewhere since I'm in the middle of a move. Ryan, I hope you find it when you finish the move. God knows I've lost a number of things in moving the many times I've moved in my life. Imagine Skippy's just an okay guy, and every night he dreams of all the other Skippies. It's like the curse of Skippy. It would be set in an urban fantasy setting. The guy is just plagued with all these horrible deeds and deaths that he's done, and he doesn't know why. Eh. That is the whims of the RNG gods, Destra. The whims of the RNG gods. I have to wonder in AR if Greg will ever be able to stop other elemental magic from being able to use their magic for war rather than defense. I mean, time will tell, I guess. Well, we shall see as the series continues. Once again, we will see as the series continues. Thanks for the reminder to reread. I got a bit wrong there on the number. Just reread the first meeting with Rufus. No problem. It is. It happens. Something confirmed about Toja. To- Toja has a number of things. No real complaints about Claudia not getting many scenes in AR. It just made sense and fit the overall story, but I liked her as a character, so I did and do wish her to appear more. I also wonder how much Victoria has grown. Her magic should make visiting possible someday. It should. Spatial magic should. We don't have hard numbers on what a Magus spatial magi can do, how far they can go, how often they can use their magic before their aether is gutted, and so on, and down, and down, and down. RNG, yeah, random number generator. RNGesus. You never know what those numbers are going to be. Skippy is very much like the red shirts from Star Trek. I am down to what looks like the last question, guys. Which, I mean, an hour and a half in, it's about normalish. Somewhere between about an hour and a half and 2 hours is where we normally get to, until you guys get crazy and start trying to elongate things, which is fine. I have a question. Heavenly Chaos seems like a mixture of D&D and modern tech. Does that mean they use spaceships too? We will have to find out together, Destra. No him answering my question. That's okay. I mean, one of my mods might not have flagged it, Cass, or I might have missed it. I mean, either of those is possible. There are some I just skip. There are some I just don't answer. When I look at them and I go, nah, and just skip it, or it just might not have gotten chosen. It wasn't chosen by the claw. That happens. I mean, it would be hard to pull off, Brian. It would be hard to pull off if you actually have people of actual power around. How long do you expect, more or less, for Heavenly Chaos? I would expect more. More. If you're asking if I have an idea of how many books in the series, not a fucking clue. But that's been that way since my first series. I since I am a slice of life writer and I am just an after action reporter for my characters, I can't give you an idea. Normally, as I come up on the end of a series, I can be like, okay, guys, I think there's a couple of books left in this. And then it's still taken me 4 books before. So, but at the moment, it's got legs to it. That's all I can say. Changing the way mechs work somewhat. Do you think it'll stay mechs like Mech Warrior, or will it change to more Gundam like mechs? If that is a question directed at me, that would be a wait and see, and we'll find out together. But I mean, outside of that, I can't answer that question. Yeah, too tall. I will be there. I don't know if I have been slated as an attending professional again. At the moment, I don't have no idea about what or where I will be, and I won't until like 2 weeks before the con. So, but yes, I will be there, barring life being life. Can you see a story where a character would use a hamster cannon, a cannon that fires hamsters? No, Jazz, I don't think I have a story where that would fit. I am not big on animal cruelty, and I'm pretty sure that would kill the hamsters. So no, I'm fairly certain that would not make it into one of my books. So just a thing. And I have indeed caught up to all the questions, guys. And we are just right up on a minute. A minute. Jeez. Yeah, a minute. An hour and a half. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up, especially since I should maybe see about lunch and stuff before friends get here. Thank you all for coming. This was the June live chat. You can see on the bottom there. That's the projected what we know information on books. So if you are looking forward for the next book of a specific series, there is our projected current dates on things. Once I have more information on Lux Voice 9, AL4, it'll be updated on social media, Discord, and Facebook, the two easiest places to keep up to date, and also have conversations. I'm sorry, there was another question I just saw get flagged. Oh, that wasn't it. Hang on, there we go. Has anyone asked about the most important furballs? The cats are fine. The older, smaller, plushy cat is at this point like 90% deaf and very much hates not being allowed into the rooms that she wants to be allowed into. And she has no volume control anymore because she's deaf. Which does make things problematic at times when you're trying to sleep. But overall, the cats are in good health. So I did see that question, and I will answer that question because cats. But for anyone who is wondering, the next live chat is going to be July 15th. It will be at 2 p.m. Pacific. And then in August, I'll look at my calendar real quick and hope it doesn't bite me again. I currently have it slated for 6 p.m. Pacific on a Friday because that'll be the 15th in August. So it'll be a much later stream. So easier for America to get to because it's a late Friday night, problematic for Europe to get to because it's going to be like at 2, 3 in the morning, which is why I try to vary up the times for you guys to make it easier for different people to reach them at different times. So thank you all for coming. I will see you in July if you can make it. And if not, stay safe out there because 2025 is continuing the decade-long trend of being a WTF decade. Bye.